Hello, dear Starshines. Welcome to today's Lunchtime Chats. So glad to have you here. For those of you who are new, my name is Christina, and I'm an acceleration expert. And we are here to talk about those topics and issues that are significant for us starseeds, way showers, and new paradigm visionaries. We have capacities and abilities that are not necessarily embraced by our larger human family. Therefore, we have very unique perspectives to the kinds of challenges that we're facing in this world, this time of transition, chaos, and change. So I'm here to do to the best of my ability to provide a liberated perspective and to be very real with you guys and hopefully inspire you guys to step into your power, step into your grace, step into your beauty, your abilities, because all of you have, because we're starseeds, because we're interdimensional, multidimensional humans, all of us have a massive impact on our collective. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, dear brother, a young trick named Jim. Good to see you. Okay, so there's some questions here. And before I go into the questions, I just want to go into what I want to talk about today, okay? There's a few things that came to mind, but there was a particular posting by a dear sister Starshine named Una, and she is a Celtic medicine woman. She's trained with and has been in the company of many, many ancient wisdom keepers, elders, really potent medicine men and women around the world. And she's a really profound practitioner herself. And she posted a something about how aging is a program. We actually don't need to age. Technically, our DNA actually doesn't age at all. And that in this post, she was sharing the information from this other person that aging is indeed a construct. It's a program. We don't actually have to participate. It's optional. So I want to dive into that. And then I also want to talk about the ways in which we actively, without even realizing it, collude in accelerating our aging, accelerating our oxidizing, okay, within our physical bodies. And then I also want to go through some longevity tips for you guys, how to keep yourself vital, how to keep your life force energy in such a way where you are in a state of constant renewal. Now, women are the embodiment of renewal, okay, that principle of the sacred feminine. So women have a more, I'll say, more natural inclination for this type of resonance. But it's not to say that men can't have this. They absolutely can. Absolutely, if they choose it. And a lot of that has to do with how are you in relationship to the sacred feminine. So this is some pieces that I want to talk about. And I would love to hear from you guys how you're experiencing this as well. And I'm going to go ahead and get on to Young Trick's questions he's got going on. It looks like he's asking for musical recommendations. Well, thank you. Actually, you're on point of some of the things I was thinking about. It's interesting. I made a bullet list of things to make sure that, keep me on track, because it's easy to go off on tangents. And I sat down to do this and my list just completely disappeared. So I must need to just go with the flow on this one. But so he's asking about music. Any suggestions for music that has consciousness slant? Non-co and Medicine for the People, Trevor Hall, the East Forest are really the only ones my partner and I listened to for the past few years. Oh yeah. So, and this is important because music is a very powerful force within the human experience. And as we know, our music has been hijacked. It's broadcasted on a frequency that keeps us trapped in the mental frame up, versus live acoustic music is very moving, can be even a spiritual experience. And then we have all of this pop culture music that, just promotes violence, violence against self, against others, against women. I mean, there's some very interesting ways in which they insert program into really excellent music. I can think of a few, like even rap. I mean, there's some really excellent beats, but then the lyrics that go along with them are horrific. So it's like they mix the beauty that really touches one's spirit, and then they insert these programs. So Trick, yeah, there are several that I know, and of course right now it's not coming to me. One is called Melai. That was one I was recently introduced to. Her voice is absolutely angelic. She actually, dear Bev, if you're here, Beverly, if you're here, that you shared a link a while back for one of her videos. If you can share that again here, that would be great. I got it turned on to her through Beverly. And then there is Yama Guama. You know what I'll do? In the comments of this video in YouTube, I'll put a post of some of my favorite spiritual music. Some of my favorite musics, period. Some of it's medicine music, like medicine men singing and chanting like this, like, for medicine, going into altered states. And some is just beautiful, uplifting music that really, that's recorded at, 432, that's, really heartfelt. Oh, Estas Tone. I cannot recommend him highly enough. Estas Tone is a Spanish guitar player that just plays in flow. So his concerts, they aren't songs. They're just like one long flow for an hour. And he takes the energy of the moment and plays. And one of my favorite videos of him, he did a flow with a singer, with this woman just doing this angelic voicing that was, oh my gosh, just mind altering. But there was a Sufi spinner and a bubble artist simultaneously there with them in the energy, in the performance, so to speak. And this spinner, I mean, oh my gosh, I could just see the magic spiraling into this man, and the bliss and the just the frequencies coming from him was so humbling, so beautiful. I think I cried the first several times I watched the recording because I was so moved by that performance. I think it was done in Spain. But so those are just some recommendations I can shoot off the top of my head. But in the comments of this video after this recording, I'll put some links down of some of my favorites. And I encourage you guys listening to this, put down your favorites in there. I mean, so we can, really, expand our musical repertoire. Because sometimes things get old. I have a lot of classics. I love blues. I love all kinds of music, really. Van Morrison, Into the Mystic is kind of like a theme song for me throughout my life. So there's long terms and shorter ones. There's a DJ named Christos that's pretty phenomenal. Anyway, okay, the flow is open. I have some recommendations. All right, then all right, so that's all they've listened to the past few years. It says to let you know what we'd like to talk about. Figured music, frequency, energy is as important as anything. Don't need to really discuss, just curious what people are listening to today. Yes, awesome. Yep, and by the way, Young Trick and his beloved are coming to us from the mountains of Colorado, some of my favorite places, which actually I'm in now. If we didn't, this is a beautiful, lush spring, summer so far for Colorado. There's so much rain that has coming, and the greenery is just really takes something beautiful and just makes it even more beautiful. Staging is a choice. So he's going to share a little tidbit from his shamanic teacher. Is currently reversing his metabolic age. His teacher was a woman who was 150 years old, but in the body of a 33-year-old. Haha, thank you for validating this, because I know people like this too. I know humans like this too, and it's a real thing. Okay, hey Carol, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Beverly, let me know if you're here. I'm gonna have a short little task for you, if that's okay to ask. All right, yeah, so let's get into this. Draining life force energy, endless endless lives, you know. This is a real thing, and this is not just a mythos. I have met these people myself. I have I've had the honor of, and it always happens spontaneously, to come across different immortal masters in my path, you know. And there's different stages of immortality. This is something else we need to know. There's very different stages of immortality. The first stage of immortality is your soul actually waking up, your essence inside waking up to the point of knowing how to go directly home, as in transcending the need for the bardos, transcending the incarnational cycles of this realm, and so forth. That is a level of immortality, because what happens is that after you expire, having yeah, thank you. Having, expiring out of the current life flow that you're in, you go back without those, going through those filters, and you can go directly home, back to source. And when you come back, if you come back, it's number one, a choice, but number two, you come back with your memories intact. Okay. And this is something that is continued even to this day. And it's known by multiple people. This isn't something that only the super psychic or whatever are aware of. This is a valid practice that has been going on for tens of thousands of years. The Mayans had this practice. The Tibetans still have this practice to this day. Other mystical sects on this planet still have this practice. Now, the way the Mayans practiced it was a lot different than how maybe they practice it today, because they actually had a ceremony, a warrior ceremony, where one would have their heart pierced by the priestess, and then knowing that they're going to die, and then they would go and find the reincarnation of your reincarnation. So you get all these skills, you get all these learnings. I mean, you become a masterful warrior. Then when it's time to cross the threshold into the next level, then your heart gets pierced. You have a mindful transcendence through the realms, and then you come back by choice to the right formula, to the right DNA sequence, and the sect, your brothers and sisters, come find you and help you. Now because you have all your memories intact and all these pieces, then you go on to the next level of this priesthood, of the clergyhood, if you call that, you can call it that. Okay, the Tibetans practice it very differently. The Rinpoches and the Lamas, they will have a beloved, I don't want to say consort, but they will have a beloved partner that is kind of like their keeper in this world. And then after they samadhi, or they know when they're going to pass over, they do that mindfully. They transcend the realms. They come back by choice, and then that sacred beloved that was their keeper goes out on the quest, is tasked with their quest to go find them. And then they start reinforming them. They find them as a baby, as a toddler, and then they start helping them remember. Now this is a process that has survived the darkest, most forgetful times of humanity, okay? But the fact that it has survived is really, really saying something about where we're at, And it's truly a thing. The Chinese actually started putting restrictions on the Tibetans, where it was against the law to go find the reincarnation of your master, of your Rinpoche, of your Lama, by penalty of death, okay, torture and death. So if that beloved that was searching for the reincarnation, if they got caught or told on, right, then they went through a lot of pain and trauma. So that's one level of immortality, but there's other levels. There are levels of immortality where you can be in the same biosuit for a very long time, hundreds of years, okay? 150 years, that's really getting up there. That's great. And for a person being engaged in this matrix of living, that's really impressive, okay? Because there's hooks and drags in every aspect of this matrix, and of course it's getting better. It's a lot lighter than it used to be, but it's still pretty intense and very layered. So you guys remember to say hi if you're here. Our dear brother Chief Haru, who I was exposed to in person not that long ago, in March actually, gave stories about, there were all right, first I have to stop and talk about Chief Haru's mission. Chief Haru's mission is to bring all of the plant medicines of the Amazon to the larger world, to the Western world, in efforts to save his home, in efforts to save the jungle. Because as you guys know, Brazil, where most of the Amazon is, they have made a pledge to demolish the Amazon and make settlements throughout the whole thing. Extract and, exploit the minerals and stuff like this. So he is having a major effort to reach out to Westerners to not just, turn them on to the kinds of plant medicines that Amazon has to offer, but for them to actually have healing experiences with these medicines, so then they can then, be more proactive in their support for waking people up and saving the Amazon. Now, as star seeds and way showers, we may, the Amazon is absolutely essential part of the survival of humanity here, or I should say survival of this ecosystem, but the sickness doesn't start there for me. So as starseeds, as way showers that are multidimensional, we have a much larger landscape that the destruction of the Amazon is a symptom of. Okay, so we are, going into those roles that we feel that's in our truth, right? So it may be directly interacting with them, or it might not be. It really depends. But he told a beautiful story that there were several tribes that he knew of that have not yet had contact with outside humanity, and they don't want contact with outside humanity, okay, because they understand the sickness, that the rest of humanity is sick. And he said that those tribes, the humans in those tribes, live to be over 200 years old. 235 years old, 285 years old, okay? So there are living, breathing humans that are expressing the truth of this reality that aging is a program. I mean, they are living proof that we do not need to age the way we're told we have to age, okay? So this is something that we can pay off to reclaim, because every time we expire out of this body and our minds are we go through the life review, we go through the Bardus, blah 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 blah, and then we come back, we start off with amnesia, and that amnesia means that we are easily influenced and told lies, and we are pretty much taught how to exist in this matrix in such a way where we contribute into the draining of our life force energy, the draining of our vitality. Okay, okay, so and this is the big piece. Many of us, because of our belief systems, our conditionings, our traumas, our pains, our avoidances, or whatever, we contribute, we willfully participate. I'm trying to get out of the sun in a certain way. There we go. This is a little bit better. We participate in the draining of our life force. We participate in this matrix that sucks us dry, right? We do that. We really do this. Okay. So why? How does this happen? What are we doing that's doing this? All right. I want to talk about that. Oh, there are levels. I'm sorry. Before I go into that, there are other levels of immortality, but these are the ones that I've mentioned are the ones that I've actually know exist, because I've experienced these beings myself, okay? Almine is the one who taught me about immortality and levitation and the secret of not aging, right? Here, I'm moving my little thing here so I can shift. You guys, woo! Oopsies. There we go. So she is a very interesting character. And I remember when I was first exposed to her, I thought she was totally crazy. I didn't understand anything she was saying, but for some reason I kept getting drawn back to her. And over time, I realized that she is a Toltec master. Even though she was born in South Africa, she hooked up with this deep mystical and indigenous teachings and knowledge. This is before they were really opening their doors to outsiders, and remembered all the pieces and reached her awakening to immortality through the practice of Toltec mastery. So I met her in person, worked with her in person. She's absolutely the real deal. And on videos, though, she kind of looks and she seems kind of crazy. But it's because she's so far outside the matrix. She's so far outside of the reality of what humans accept as reality. So far outside. She really challenges, her energy completely challenges you to letting go of who you think you are, because you are not who you think you are. Who we think we are is a very far departure from who we really are. Okay? And honestly, we can't know who we are until we fully express ourselves in our truth. Okay? And how many people are 100% honest all the time, right? We're taught that that's not okay. So there's a lot of training, like I said before, that we go through because we're born with amnesia, that actually trains us on how to give our life force energy away to the matrix and feel completely justified doing so. Okay. And this is what we need to wake up out of. Okay. And there's another master that I was exposed to, Amrit Yogi Desai. He is the founder of Amrit Yoga, I think is what it's called. He was he's got a very, very interesting journey. Definitely has had major dressing downs, humiliations, and sufferings in his life. But, he was able to reach states of consciousness where he was levitating. And he would do this in front of hundreds of people. Okay. So levitation and aging have a very close connection. They're very close in their connection. Okay. And from what I learned from Almine is that the more, number one, the more love you allow to be expressed through you, the lighter you become. Okay, your energy gets lighter, your body becomes lighter, stuff like this. But then also freedom, the freedom of life force flow within you, when you can completely surrender to the river flow within you, to, there's a threshold there where you would be weightless. You are able to then levitate. Okay. And if you're able to sustain a state of consciousness where love is free flowed, where you are unhindered, you are in total surrender to your inner flow, the truth, the beauty, the love, then quite literally life carries you as if you were on a boat, on a river, and it takes you to one miracle after another, and it becomes a way of life. Synchronicities become a way of life, and your body does not age. What creates aging on an energetic spiritual level? Resistance. Resistance causes aging. What causes aging on a physiological level, how a lot of health practitioners have defined it? Oxidization. Okay, so there are all these different thoughts and ways in which to maintain, preserve and maintain your vitality. And it's not all about diet. It's not all about diet. It can be a component that could be part of your experience, but doesn't have to be. And I say this because I actually met a walk-in that was an ET. And this walk-in, it's actually quite an extraordinary guy. Very weightless, non-resistant in any way, just free flowed, whatever, I mean, no filter whatsoever, just free flowed, whatever he was thinking, he was saying, and it didn't matter who was around and or how crazy he sounded. He was just like in it. And he quite literally lived off of cigarettes and Diet Coke. Now, I'm not saying go out and abuse your body with toxins, but I'm just saying the level of consciousness that walk-in had informed the body in such a way where it was impervious to toxic materials. And this is a teaching that is also reinforced by the practitioners of Bigu, of pranic living, also known as breatharians. Okay, they also have a practice of transmuting everything that goes into your body, because toxins take many forms, even if you're not eating or drinking anymore. Okay, though it's not limited to eating and drinking. So a lot of people think that breatharians don't eat or drink. A lot of them are in this are in a transition. You know, it takes many years to transition, to transcend the need to take in physical sustenance or to drink. And a lot of them still drink just because there's a level of boredom that happens inside of themselves, and that level of boredom translates as a resistance to their upliftment, right? So therefore they drink. So there's stuff like that. But when I was doing Darkroom with this community, you know, there was a lot of focus on reprogramming yourselves to transmute, transform all substances that come into your body. That's either, you know, eating, drinking, breathing, because there's toxins in the air. Actually, we were just outside of Chiang Mai at a time when Laos was burning their fields and burning the jungle to make way for farmland. And the air quality was so bad. I mean, people complain about the air quality here in Colorado when we have forest fires. That's nothing compared to what this was. This was so bad. You couldn't see across the street at times. It was, and it stayed day after day after day. It wasn't something that was just around for a couple weeks. It was, you know, it was an entire season. It would be that contaminated, that smoky. And then of course you have all the city pollution as well. So, you know, the air quality was one of those issues. So they worked at programming their cells to transmute, transform even what they were breathing in. And that doesn't stop with just what you take in through your nose and your mouth. There's also emotional energy that we get exposed to, that we digest. There's mental energy, there's spiritual energy, there's all these nesting dolls of who we are, and all of it we're connected to because we're an ocean of energy. I know we want to imagine us being very separate, but we're not. We are absolutely interconnected in every way. And when we surrender into that, we start to address things in very different ways. It's not about blocking or shielding. It's about maintaining the integrity within yourself. And as you maintain the integrity of within yourself, what is your truth, right? What is real for you? What is love? You know, like the real you, the infinite aspects of you, the more true you stay to that, the stronger your energy becomes and the less pervious you are to the toxins, the environment, the EMFs, all these things. Now, this is a journey to get here. It takes a while. It takes a lot of coming to Jesus, so to speak, within oneself. Because let me get to how we collude with our life force energy getting drained. All right. Now, I talk a lot about letting go of who you think you are. Right. This is part of the awakening journey. Really, truly, in a very deep way, being able to let go of who you think you are, because who you think you are is not real. Who you think you are is a result of your ancestral programming, your cultural programming, your conditioning, your pains, your traumas. Okay, it's who you think you are is. Who you think you are is a result of all the evidence you have to validate why you think certain things. Our experiences, our evidence, validating beliefs, conclusions, all these things that are not the truth. And that's because the matrix set up that way. They, like you have to you have to have a job to make money, right? That's a program. Now that program varies depending on what kind of social class you're in, but it's still a program, right? I know people that, they weren't born wealthy. Actually, many of those immortals, okay, so there were 5 immortals that have come on my path altogether. And Almine, for example, she just does what she wants, is wakes up humans, does workshops. She gets invited to go all over the world to do these things. And she writes, and she's written like 38 books, or something like this. Some of the most shamanic imagery, art that we've ever seen actually comes from the artist that has donated their art to be the covers of on all these books she has. So, this is a life of grace that we're looking at when we look at what she's doing. And there's more. There's other people. Okay, so one. All right, so one of them was a Taoist master, also met in Thailand, and they played music. Played music, and people would just invite them places, and they played music. That was what they wanted to do. That's what they, that was what gave him his joy, his opportunity to express his love and who he really is, and all this stuff, and that's how he did. He didn't own a car, didn't have money, didn't even have a bag man to hold his money. He just clothes on his back and the instruments in his bag. That was all this guy had, on a material level. But on a spiritual level, he was a master, an immortal master. So we can do these things. We just have to get out of these programs. Another, oh gosh, I have so many examples of how we give things away. All right, over a couple summers ago, I was in Ohio talking with an old friend, and we were noticing all these different couples that were coming into the restaurant that we're at. I think it was a restaurant. Yeah. It was like a restaurant bar kind of thing. And what we noticed is that the people who were like coupled for a long period of time, one end of the couple was absolutely vibrant and gorgeous, whether it be the man or the woman, really put together and looked happy, and their spouse was noticeably aged, a lot older. Okay, like gray hair, wrinkled, maybe overweight, maybe, what I mean? Just didn't look happy. But at the same time, we're looking at the energetics of this, but at the same time, they're together. And that's because, their dynamic is one person is uplifted and living, quite literally being uplifted and living off of the energy of the other. And the other, the one who's giving their energy away, and this is a overall pattern that I'm talking about. I'm sure they all have their very personal stories of the whys and all this stuff. I'm just talking about the overall energetic pattern of this. But the person that's lovingly, fully, giving their life force energy away thinks that that's what love is. That if I love this person, I will give them everything I got to give, And actually, I was in that program for a very long time. And really what that is, that's extortive love, And one always has to pay the price. And this happens over and over again. So just notice when you're out, summer's here, we're outside a lot. Just notice these couples. I mean, granted, there are those couples where you have a really older, someone who's much older than their spouse. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when they, on a long-term level, been together and there's a disparage in the health and vibrancy between them. There's that kind of thing. And then there's, so our distortions that we have around love, really, we participate so fully in that, we quite literally let ourselves be fed upon, or we feed off of others. There are givers and there's takers. It'd be really great if it was equal, but, there's givers and there's takers. And the givers love giving. They love love. They just have it to give, and why not, right? But when a giver is coupled with a taker, then it very quickly gets out of balance, and it turns into something that isn't uplifting for the both of them. It's uplifting for one of them. Okay, one is enslaved to the other. The other thing that happens is when we are so invested in who we think we are, we believe our stories. We believe our stories on why we're justified in being angry, why we're justified in being a victim, why we're justified to not show up for somebody. Like, oh, you're not going to love that person, but that person doesn't deserve my love because ... Okay. Because we're so invested in who we think we are, we really truly believe that's a true statement. But that is a death statement, is what that is. Okay. That is a statement that I am not going to let my love flow because you don't deserve it. Like, let that land, right? And I've had a renewal of this lesson very recently. And the fact is, my love is my love. I'm allowed to love whomever, however I want to love. And if there's really love in my heart for somebody, regardless if they deserve it or not, I'm going to love them. I'm going to hold them in love because that frees me. I'm the one who's free, right? I'm the one who chooses how to do my love. I'm the one that chooses that. That is my highest value, is inner freedom. And that includes my love, being free to love who and how I want to love, right? So, it doesn't matter about what the other person does. Not that I want dysfunction in my world. I don't surround myself with takers. I surround myself with people who are on the same vibe as I am, because we quite literally uplift each other in ways that are absolutely miraculous, right? So I have very clear level of how to hold the integrity of my inner space, right? And I don't invite drama into my life. It doesn't mean I don't love people who maybe are dramas, who do that. Because your heart loves who you love. And when we surrender into our love without it turning into a sticky thing, like, now that I love, then now this and now that. No. It's just love. It's the kind of love that liberates. It liberates the person who has the love, and it liberates the person that is loved. Okay? If and when they're ready for that kind of thing. So how we love, how freely and wildly we love, is directly connected into our vitality, the kind of vitality we have. Now, we need, like I said, have very solid level of integrity inside of ourselves in order to love wildly, so we don't unwittingly get involved in a draining, abusive situation, right? So we have to have a strong sense of integrity within ourselves, our truth. That's what it is. It's our truth. Accepting our truth, whatever that might be. Now, your truth is not the story that your ego driver tells you. Your truth is not the story of who you think you are. Your truth is who you really are, your infinite flow inside. What hinders your infinite flow inside of you? That is where you find truth, okay? That is what you need to accept. Whatever that piece is that's in the way of you being in the river flow, okay? Now, so there's that kind of thing. And then there's this whole piece around winning and losing. Oh, this is the other one. Oh my gosh, winning and losing. Who walks relationships or walks through life with the idea that there's winners and there's losers, right? There's winners and there's losers. And I'm definitely not going to be one of the losers. Now, I'm saying this because this program is really up right now for a few folks. And here's the big secret on that. This is to help liberate you from that drama. If you're in that kind of drama of who you think you are. Many people are enslaved to it. So that's why I'm saying this. And that is, because of that collective interconnectedness, we are all deeply impacted by each other, whether we want to admit that or not. Once we accept the interconnectedness, the interwovenness of our reality, winners come at the cost of losers. Okay? So even the winner loses. It's called that. I've heard it called the zero-sum game. So in a relationship, there's a winner and there's a loser. Well, the loser loses too. They don't find that out after the fact, right? And if we look at things as winning and losing, our ego driver, the who we think we are, our happiness, our peace, our identity is really dependent upon if we win, if we feel like we've won or lost. Okay? So that's a very strong program. And it carries, that's that whole competition program. It's the predator program. Another example is competition, right? This is a illness that has been in the light worker world for decades. We've been trying to bust out of that for a long time. Here at Light Body, we totally busted out of that. We don't have that. And it's because all of us are so deeply committed to showing up as authentically as possible, in truth as possible. We want the truth, even if it's scathing, because we know that it will liberate us from something we're really buying into, you know? So I'm absolutely astounded at the miracle that we've achieved in our community at Light Body, because there's no such thing. And here's the piece about that, you know, competition just brings people's inauthenticity out. You know, people are having to, you know, be a certain way in order to get a certain thing, versus just showing up in your truth, just showing up who you are in your vulnerability, and showing up in your flaws and your beauty, right? And being loved and accepted no matter what. You know, there's a freedom that happens in there, and that freedom, right, liberates you. It liberates life force energy. You have that much more life force at your ready for your body, for when you need it, for your life. And the more you walk this, the easier it is, and the more authentic you become. Okay. And our authenticity is what changes this world. The truth of who we are, being that, expressing that, is what changes this world. Okay, this is why we're way showers. This is why we're visionaries. Okay, because our very beingness in our authentic nature, liberated from the who we think we are program, energetically has a massive, massive impact on this world, on the collective, all those who are connected to us, which is everything. Okay, getting to the other piece here. So the ways we buy into the who we think we are program, you know, and you know you're in it when you know you're in it, because like say someone offends you and you're often real, they don't know who I am, and I'm this and I'm that. So that's all the who you think you are program. If you can just really be vulnerable and accepting of what was said, you can see more clearly that their statement might have been in words directed at you, but really it's about them, what they just said. It's about them, what they're expressing, you know, and you can let everybody off the hook in that case. Again, freedom. So another thing I want to say about this is, hold on a second. I just got pushed. Hold on a second. I just totally got pushed out of my groove. What happened with that? The who you think you are. So what kinds of things liberate us? What kinds of things allow us to walk the path, so to speak? I already mentioned love, freeing your love, being free to love whomever and however you want to love in the way that you want to love. I already mentioned that. Okay. How you view this world. If you believe this is a slave planet and everything's really heavy and I don't want to be here anymore, I'm never going to return here. You know, if you're in that heaviness, right, you're still enslaved to the who you think you are program. But if you are gearing your efforts to liberating your love, being honest with yourself, accepting the truth that is inside of yourself. Okay, big one right there. Committed to expressing yourself as authentically as you know how in any given moment. That's number 3. And number 4 is your creativity. Using your creativity to bring beauty into this reality. There's a gentleman, I can't remember his first name. Something Jordan. Jeez, it's terrible. I don't remember his name. Okay, well, Jordan Peterson. That's it. Jordan Peterson, Canadian guy, psychologist, very controversial. He's definitely awoke to something very important. I think this is why he gets so much flack, is because he dispels all these bullshit programs that are conflicting and can cause confusion within us. Okay. And this is the other thing. Confusion is a part of those mechanisms that cause us to lapse into the matrix programming. It keeps us from really being able to be at peace and settle inside of ourselves. So confusion is something that is important to cut through. Clarity is an energy. Clarity comes with accepting the truth, being honest with yourself, okay, accepting what is versus how you want things to be, all that. Clarity will come. And, people who create chaos and stuff with drama and all that, it's very, very, it's very hard on people like us to be around that. So definitely engineer your life to be away from chaos like that, so that confusion doesn't drain your life force energy, because it will. Okay, getting to, oh yeah, I'll come back to you, Young Trek. I know you're putting a lot of good comments in there. So the creativity. So what we use our creativity for is absolutely essential. People think art is irrelevant, but it's not. Art is a support system. It's a sustenance for humanity. And let me tell you why. It's because everything is great in one's life until it's suddenly not. Okay. What I'm talking about is extreme heartbreak, devastation. Say your parent dies, your child dies, your spouse dies, some kind of accident happens. Maybe you have a major accident. Maybe this, you know what I mean? Everything about your life stops and nothing's the same ever again. This is the universe giving you, who you think you are, a hard check, a real hard check. And this is where art and beauty, I'm going to say poetry, song, music, this is where these kinds of creativities come in and give us sustenance. It gives us sustenance. Okay. The deepest pain I have ever felt, which, there's a lot there. I mean, my life has definitely not been a cakewalk. Not that I don't feel like I'm blessed, because I feel like I'm blessed beyond measure, but it's because I'm still standing. I'm still standing, and I'm still here to love. I'm still here to bring beauty. I'm still here to be and create what I want. Use my creative energies towards uplifting myself and others, inspiring humanity, liberating people, helping people change the way they think. These things are important to me, and I'm still standing here to do that, despite all of the pain and trauma that's been in my life, right? So the sustenance is huge. So death in the beginning has always been a massive transformer in my world. Being with people when they die is some of the most miraculous moments of my life. Not that I haven't grieved the dying, the going up to the dying process for those that actually had a process for it. But the actual moment of being there is miraculous. It's amazing. And this is where I feel like the heart of poets live in so many ways. This is why they're able to touch the feelings, the truth within one's soul with words, is because they're in that, there's something in them that has that magical vortex. Anyway, poetry and music fed me in my times of grief and heartbreak. Reading people's experiences, I love poem. I love poetry, and that's something they had to grow into. But there's all sorts of expressions that come through poetry. It actually turns a linear language, the limiting mind that speaks language, and it turns it into a soul language, a multidimensional experience. So in this way, poetry is magic. It's absolutely magic. And it can touch on something that regular words cannot touch on. Linear thought, mind, communications can't touch on. And when someone can touch you with their poetry, with their art, with their music so deeply, it instantly gives one the realization that you are not alone. You are not alone in this pain. Others have had it too. You see what I mean? And it's also the same on the flip side, being wild, crazy in love. I know that feeling too, you know? And again, art, music, poetry, again, can meet us in that. And in the meeting us in that, we can realize how not alone we are in this beauty and this miracle and this amazingness, and that others have walked this path too. You know, it really helps settle us into the truth about things inside. There are truths that I have inside of myself I didn't even know were there until I heard a musical lyric, or I heard a verse in a poem, or I saw a piece of art. It's like it touches someplace, and then, because I never had words for the truth that was there, but as soon as I heard it, it got touched. I was like, oh, it was like a dawning moment. Okay, so us putting our efforts into our creativity is a game changer, guys. Game changer. We create beauty. Pain and sorrow has beauty in it too. So it's not all about love, light, and joy. It's about expressing authentic truth. That's what real beauty is. An authentic truth being expressed. So maybe it's art, maybe it's pottery, maybe it's weaving, maybe it's stories, maybe it's, you know, a beautiful riff, a flute song. You know, there's no limits to what it could be. We can make it up out of the clear blue sky within us. We could just make it up, and in that, do our part in helping change the world. Now, there's other ways to change the world, of course, and many of us are driven to do that. Like, you know, get a holistic business going, or, you know, get a coaching program together to really inspire our youth into stepping into their truth. And this is what I love about Jordan Peterson, is because he has targeted young men to help uplift and inspire with his teachings. And he's brilliant. He's an intellectual that has reached very deep spiritual truths, which I find impressive. And something that I've heard him say over and over again, and I love that he said this, because this is the crux of the matter to our freedom, okay, is that life really is an adventure. I mean, this heaviness that many of us experience, this idea of being trapped and locked into a life we don't want, being trapped in a relationship we don't want, getting trapped in a lifestyle or a job, or, you know, whatever the role is, and it's heavy. And, you know, it's quite literally heavy, because our life force energy is getting sucked out of us, and we don't have the energy to carry on. Okay, we don't have the energy for our bodies to really be in an uplifted state. And then we start being needy. And then there's a whole program narrative about being needy, when really you're just trying to nourish yourself. So what he said is, there's who we are, there's who we think we are, there's who others perceive us to be, and then there's who we really are, right? This is an old Chinese proverb. And he goes on to say that you quite literally can't know who you are. You discover who you are in every moment that you choose to express your authentic truth. Every moment you choose to express your authentic truth, as scary as it might be in that moment, that is how you discover who you are in that moment. And okay, this is what he says. And I love this, because this totally reinforces these truths that I know inside of myself. I don't know myself until I'm expressing it. And in the expression of it, it's very different than how I'm thinking about it in my head. And usually it's even better. Like, my expression of it is even more richer and robust than what I was thinking in my head, right? And then it lands on the collective, the people that I'm with, or the nature that I'm with. And then there's a response to that authentic truth that I just expressed. And this is where we discover who we are, moment to moment to moment. This is freedom, guys, because who you were an hour ago, it does not need to be who you are right now. And you don't know it until you've actually expressed it and something gets a feedback loop back, comes back to you. Okay, this is actually the secret to working with the telluric realm, quite honestly. That's a whole nother chat. We need to get clear on the kind of nourishments we need so we can truly show up in our lives authentically and in our truth. It takes a lot of energy to speak your truth as you know it inside. Okay, it takes a lot of energy because the matrix is set up to trivialize the truth, to diminish the truth, to make the truth wrong. Okay, hence PC culture, saying what you think. Oh my God, no, you don't do that. Well, we do. You and I do. We say what we think. But in a cultural level, that's like, there's a culture out there that you don't say what you really think. No, that's the wrong thing to do. We know better. So think about the ways that you need nourished, okay? What kind of spiritual nourishment do you need, and are you meeting those needs? What kind of physical nourishment do you need, and are you meeting those needs, okay? What kind of emotional nourishment do you need, and are you meeting those? What kind of intellectual nourishment? What kind of social nourishment? Emotional, okay? These pieces, when we are nourished, it's that much easier for us to expend our creative energy to be an expression of the truth of who we really are. We are inspired. We are in our spirit. Okay? If we're deficient in different ways, then we need to compensate for that. Okay? And this is where a lot of the the attentions to where healing diets come in, right? There's some level of something causing disease in our body, so we compensate with fully nourishing our body in extreme holistic kind of ways. I'm not saying that healing diets are right or wrong. I do a healing diet. I'm in a healing process because there's things that I need to wake up to, right? And the fact is, I can't wake up to them if I'm really not, willing and committed. And every time I make sure that I have the physical nourishment I need, that's reinforcing to my universe that I'm committed. I am committed to figuring out what I need to have, what breakthrough I need to have in order for the healing that my body needs to happen, So this is all food for thought, guys. Let me go ahead and get through these comments, because Young Trick, you had a bunch of stuff to say, darling. Okay, our shamanic teacher was from Nepal. She lived in Canada for a long time, but she learned her practice in Nepal. Yes, so Nepal, the Nepalese, yes. Those mountains have a lot of even indigenous mystery schools still alive to this day. One of them that I know about is the Bone, okay? Anyway, this is interesting that comes from the Himalayas. I have such a deep resonance with the East and with the South. It's so interesting how these things come forward, because I used to be very, I was very slanted in the opposite direction. And as I grew and woke up to things inside of myself that I never even imagined possible, or even imagined that was my truth, then it's like I would break through a program and realize, oh my gosh, I told myself I was this my whole life, but obviously that's a total lie, because now I'm awake to something else. It's fascinating. These programs that we're given, we're told the opposite of what the truth is, and that's how the setup goes. That's how the setup of life force energy drains go. Holding on to anger or resentment. The more justified you are to blame and be angry with somebody or angry with humanity in the collective, that is an energy drain, guys. That is sucking life force energy out of you. Anyway, sorry, I digress. Let me get back to. That's so interesting. Our teacher just uploaded a video about human levitation this past Sunday. He recently started a YouTube channel to help spread the healing. Master Himalaya Pahadi. All right, so I believe this is the YouTube channel he's talking about, where his teacher's talking about levitation. So you guys can check that out. Check out this Master Himalaya Mahadi. Thank you, Young Trick, for that. I think that people understanding the secrets of levitation is very, it could really give them a lot of breakthrough. So thank you for posting that. Fear and complacency also cause aging. The fact that we age is ingrained in us and we make it happen. That's so true. Oh my gosh. And one of my favorite video clips, and this is actually a YouTube, what do they call it in YouTube? Are they called Reels? Shorts. They're called YouTube Shorts. All right, I'm going a little bit over on my time, guys, but I will because I want to complete this thought and go through these. And that is, it was Prince. Now, as you guys know, Prince was a Jehovah's Witness, or maybe you guys don't know that. I'm a huge Prince fan. Ever since Purple Rain came out, I was young. It's like something about him really resonated with me. And he was somebody who really stood up for his truth. He stood up to the music industry. He like really held his art as sacred and did everything he, the best to his ability to keep that as a sacred sharing between him and humanity. I have huge props to Prince. But one of the things the shorts was talking about, he was being interviewed on, I don't know, Tavis Smiley or something. I can't remember exactly who was doing the interview. And he was saying, and this kind of ties into the Jehovah's Witness thing about not having any birthdays or holidays and stuff like this. Truth is everywhere. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It's all gets woven in for distortion. But he said he doesn't celebrate. He doesn't celebrate birthdays. He's had one birthday, and that was the day he was born. And then he equated birthdays in as being an aging program. That birthdays, counting counting your birthdays is reinforcing the aging program, and you're telling your subconscious, you're telling your body that, okay, you should be getting older now. You should be old now. You should be this now. You should be that now. Okay. He went through the whole thing. I mean, this is in the 90s, guys. Talk about being way ahead of his time. And of course, Prince is so slick. He could tell that, what he was saying was really heavy, was really kind of like, whoa, blowing the minds of the people interviewing. So then, of course, he slips into, and he's like, and that is why I always look so fabulous. And this is Prince delivering truth with compassion. He wasn't hammering it over people's head. He was asked a question, he said the answer in an authentic way. You see what I mean? So he was really an embodiment of some of these principles that I'm talking about with you guys. And then a dear brother Starshine shared something with me that I really, really appreciated hearing, and that is how the Rastafarians do it. Instead of birthday, where you're counting your cycles, and when you blow out the candle, it's like you're blowing out your light, right? Like you're blowing out your light with a wish that you'll get something back. Talk about major disempowerment pattern there. But he told me about the Rastafarians celebrate something called, instead of birthday, it's called your heart, your earth strum. And that is the tone that you rode to this earth on, the tone that brought you to this plane. He maybe not said it like that, but that's what I was getting from the story that I was being told. So instead of birthdays, celebrating your earth strum. Celebrate the frequency that brought you to this reality. Now, isn't that beautiful? I really like that. I really like that a lot. And it's so funny, I don't remember May. I've had people ask me, I've actually gotten in trouble in like at Port Authorities and stuff, because I'm asked how old I am, and I'm just like, I have to do the math because I don't actually hold it in my head. And I feel like this is just my natural inclination to not be in that program. And so naturally, us as starseeds, star shines, if we just follow our inclinations, even if we don't know these teachings in our head, we still end up in resonance with these deeper teachings, because it's a truth inside it. It's a truth that's a living, breathing truth inside of us. You see, we just need to be willing to be completely honest and authentic with ourselves, like really wanting to know what our truth is. Okay. All right. Thank you, dear brother Trick, for that. All right. So, all right. What are your thoughts on sungazing? I've dabbled, and I think breatharians and sungazing may go hand in hand. Just curious if you correlate them at all. Yes, a lot of breatharians that I've talked to, so at these darkroom retreats, there's like 40 people from all over the world doing these darkroom retreats together. And some of them are, I would say probably maybe about a third of them are on the active path of transitioning into being breatharian, and a lot of other ones just have a resonance with it and want to learn how to, just are really drawn to the work. Okay. I can't say that I'm breatharian, but I do practice a lot of those principles, and long-term fasting is something that I've done very naturally and easily, so I have a resonance. I feel like I have the encodements for it. Anyway, I'm digressing. Let me get back to, so a lot of those ones that are on the path of their breatharian journey got on that path via sun gazing. Okay. And it's not just looking at the sun, it's a practice. It's like a meditative practice. You prepare yourself. You make sure that you have a energetic connection with the earth, okay? And you do it gradually, okay? If you do too much too fast, you're overloading your body. Your body needs more time and compassion. So again, really listening to your body, listening to what the truth is going on inside of you is a major part of that. I have to say that about sun gazing, because there are people that will just dive in and, sun gaze for, for many minutes at a time right away. And that's not necessarily, if your body's saying to do this and, you have a different system, that's fine. But for most people, it's something you have to ease yourself into. Okay. So 45 seconds at a time. And then you just build 45 seconds every day. And actually, there's some teachings that it's 15 seconds. So whatever really feels right for you. I love sun gazing. I practiced sun gazing regularly for several years when I lived in Colorado, actually, because I was actually in a sunny place before I lived in Ohio, which was very cloudy most of the time. Ohio has 300 days of cloudy days. Colorado has 300 days of sunny days, and the problem I ran into though here was that I lived right next to I'm right on the Front Range and there's 14ers here, Longs Peak and Meeker Peak, and the sun set 14,000 feet sooner than it would if we were on a flat landscape. So that made sun gazing and at sunset a bit difficult. But sun gazing at sunrise was very easy because I was on the Front Range. So sunrise was the chosen time. But what you have to be careful about with sun gazing is that it instantly manifests things that you're thinking about. Okay, so if you do not have a disciplined mind, or if you really have problems with monkey mind when when there's a lot of energy stirred up in your body, I caution you about sun gazing, because whatever you're thinking about, like say you're triggered and you're thinking about a fight that you had the night before, or you're thinking about something that really bothers you, humanity did something crappy, you know what I mean? If you think about that while you're sun gazing, that could be a little dangerous. Okay. But the upside is that it quite literally anything you're thinking about manifests. Okay. I had a time where I was feeling like I really needed to get away, and I didn't really have the money at the time, and I was a struggling entrepreneur at that time. And I say struggling because I didn't understand really how to run a business yet. But anyway, I was in this space of feeling trapped and frustrated, and I just kind of wanted to get away, and I didn't really have the money at the time. And I come home because I was watching, doing sunrise in the morning. I come home, and my husband was making coffee, getting ready to go for work, and he puts his credit card down on the counter, and he's like, "Here, take this. You need to go get away." So it was like 5 minutes. I had the thought, and boom, it happens, right? So that's what I have to say about sun gazing. And people do naturally stop wanting to eat when they're sun gazing regularly. That's a natural inclination. The other caveat I have to give to sun gazing is that there are many beings within, through, and around our sun, not just the sun that we know that is our sun. Okay, so you are going to super amp up your capacity to interact with these other beings. So be prepared for that, because it'll happen, especially now with the veils as thin as they are. You're going to end up having a lot of what someone might call interdimensional or ET contact if you make a regular practice of sun gazing. So there's that. Thanks, Trick. That's a really great piece to bring forward. All right, so he goes on to say, my teachers 150-year-old teacher never seemed to have money, but she rarely had to pay for anything. Her housing, food, and needs were all covered, probably because of her 100+ years of networking. Yes, but also what she is, the seeds that she's planting in the world. Energetically, they come back. The seeds that you plant come back to you. So, so if you plant seeds of beauty, of liberation, of inspiration, of upliftment, energetically that comes back to you. That's the ecosystem. If you plant seeds of blame, of shame, of anger, of whatever, even if you feel justified in it, it doesn't matter. You're planting that seed in the energetic. That's going to come back to you. I had this, it was really sad. And I kind of hesitate to say that out loud. Should I? Okay, no, I'm going to say it out loud so you guys can understand. Those of us who are choosing our truth of who we really are, this is something you got to understand, because there are belief systems out there that we get targeted for our truth, for our light, for our stuff. And we do get targeted for certain reasons, right? And it's all perfect. It's all part of the unfoldment. It's all part of what we need to face and to decode so we can liberate the pattern, okay? This is true. But I actually had an understanding conveyed to me by some of my elemental tribe. So I have an interdimensional entourage, a spiritual team, so to speak, that I work a lot with. And there's many elemental beings, including Sasquatch in that team. And I'm so protected. As long as I'm not being reckless, ridiculous, as long as I'm in my truth and I'm sincere, the level of protection around me is profound. And they shared an insight with me not that long ago. So I had a dear brother Starshine, who I just was over the moon for, like, that they even existed. I was just like, wow, I can't believe this. And I took them to meet my, my Sasquatch tribe. And I was warned, I was given a warning about this person. And at the same time, they made contact with us. They were making sounds, and they were presenting as other animals, like walking right up to us and leaving footprints. And it was this beautiful and joy-filled interaction. But they gave me a warning about this person, and I didn't want to believe it. I was scared, And then, of course, a couple days later, they do exactly what I was told they were going to do. And I was just like so beside myself. I had no idea that person was capable of anything like that. It really broke my heart. And I really went into a deep downward spiral of being able to trust myself. But the reason why I'm telling you the story is because I'm so looked out for and protected. That event happened, because I was so strongly protected. I didn't know that this person had connection with malevolent forces. I didn't, I was in my beauty. I was seeing beauty. I was seeing amazingness. I was in this, and it was because, they were compromised in the way they were. They quite literally got ejected out of my life, like pretty much got their ass handed to them. But that's not how my human eye saw it. And I'm sure that's not how they saw it either. You know what I mean? And there was a lot in there. And the more that the maliciousness attacks, or the blame, anger, the more that I would get attacked, let's say, the safer and more solid I became. And this is the payoff to being really solid in your truth and the axis of who you are, is that it's not that you're going to come across everybody in rainbows and light. That's not true. We have a lot of work to do in this reality. We have a lot to decode in this reality. We have a lot of pain and suffering to bring love and liberation to in this reality. So I'm not saying that everything's going to be woohoo. There'll be times like that for sure. But there are these other times where it's imperative that we show up. All the way show up, okay? And I was faced with a lot of internal damaging beliefs that I had inside. I didn't realize that I was putting myself, or I was resonating with a situation where I was to be taken advantage of. I was all this stuff. I didn't even realize I was resonating with that. But then after this whole incident happened, there was a lot of pain, struggles, all that. But I woke up to the bigger wisdom here. And that is this program deep inside of me that I've inherited that kept me in a certain kind of relationship to this. And I really equate this to, if I didn't have the emptiness, the space, the protection, that solid space around me, I would have never been able to get to that level of truth. But it was because I was committed to getting deep into what the real truth was. I was so strongly, and still am so strongly, looked out for by my spiritual entourage. Okay? So there's a lot of gifts here. It's hard, it's difficult, it's scathing, heartbreaking, it's all these things. But there's also this amazing miracle, these amazing great acts of grace and beauty. Okay, sorry, let me go back to. I love when the Jehovah Witness come to my house. I frequently have 30-minute conversations with them. Wow, 30 minutes now. I remember we did have a conversation. We invited them in one time. This is when I was a teenager, and we were ridiculous. But yeah, I think we kind of smoked them out. They stayed for several hours, but all of us were chain smokers. We drank like 5 pots of coffee, and it was like eventually they were drained and had to leave. It's funny now. At the time, I was like, "What are we doing?" Anyway, oh, hello, dear sister Tony. Welcome. She says, "I am glad I am not the only one. I never know my age, and I never feel my age." Yeah, me either. I mean, I kind of feel I complain right now because I'm in a lot of pain, but I do have my moments where I complain, for sure. But I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's just kind of like a temporary bitch. I just complain for a little bit and then I'm done. And then I just keep carrying on because I'm committed. I'm never going to stop decoding what I needed to code. So eventually I know eventually the healing was going to happen. I just need to keep putting one foot in front of the other, doing what I know, and I'll get there. Anyway, Young Trick says, I've been told 10 seconds at a time, and then he's talking about the sungazing. I've been told 10 seconds at a time, then go up from there. I stopped at about 30 seconds a few years ago. I may get back into it though. It felt very good, especially in bare feet on the earth. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, sungazing is an excellent practice. And like I said, some people do rock that so forwardly that they completely transcend the need to take in sustenance. But that's a personal journey. There's a mental, emotional, spiritual component to it. And if you're not doing the other components to it, you can very easily accidentally do harm to yourself. Okay. Enough of that tangent. All right. Yes, exactly. She planted so much in the energetic. Yes, it was returned. Yes, thank you for that. Thank you for that, guys. All right. Well, I hope this conversation was uplifting and helpful, and you guys got to maybe just ask yourself some different questions. How might you be draining your life force energy? How might you be participating in these things? And also that it's true, there are people who are not trapped in these matrices the way we are. There are models, there are other humans that have reliberated themselves. Okay, it's possible. If that's on our path, if it's in our truth to do that, it's available to us to do that. I know for me, a major piece is that I want to have fun too. So if my commitment and discipline is draining the fun out of things for me, then that's me out of my truth in some way. It's not like I'm a fun hound, but I definitely know that some part of me, my nature, really needs to be nourished with fun and laughter and stuff like this. So you decide your nourishment needs, all those different layers in which you need nourished. You decide that, and then walk that truth without excuses. Be committed to it, and you're going to quite literally reverse the aging process. There are other things that also reverse the aging process, especially when it comes to sacred sex and stuff like that. But that's a topic, very deep rabbit hole. Maybe we can talk about that some other time. I'm saying this for all of us who are solo practitioners and are walking our life in an everyday way. We're extraordinary humans. walking and living an extraordinary yet ordinary human life. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for being here. Mwah. Well, lots of love to you all. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.